I don't know what's going on with my students. They just don't seem like they're interested in class at all lately. I don't know. This morning was especially bad. They just didn't seem like they wanted to participate at all. They just sat there with stone faces, and I was trying to get answers out of them. And I don't know what I've got to do.
Yeah, I'm having the same exact problem in my classes too.
Yeah, it seems like math and science are such difficult topics to teach because kids are forced to take the class.
I know, I have that exact same problem in my sophomore and freshman classes, but because history's optional, senior year it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys care about your students participating. If mine don't participate, they fail the class, and if they fail the class, it's not my fault.
Well, if my students aren't participating or don't seem interested, then I feel like I'm not doing a good job.
Yeah, I agree with you, Drew, because I feel like it's our job to make our students interested and motivated to learn.
Well, what's your definition of motivation?
I guess I'd say motivation is putting forth effort towards a goal.
For example, a student that's motivated will want to learn that if students are motivated, then they will learn what they're being taught. Also, they'll put a lot more effort in what they're learning.
Well, according to Paul Pintrick and Dale Schunk in their book, Motivation and Education, motivation involves processes that occur as individuals instigate and sustain goal-directed actions.
So we need to move our students in goal-directed actions, and then this might help them become more motivated to work in class.
But what does the instigate and sustain part of that definition mean?
I think that means that we need to activate and support their goals.
So if we do this, then it will help them to be more motivated in school.
So if they're motivated in class, then they'll participate and ask questions. But how come these kids aren't motivated enough by grades? You would think that if they want to get good grades, then they would try.
Well, if they're motivated by just getting good grades, then they're intrinsically motivated. We should try to make our students more intrinsically motivated.
How are we supposed to make them intrinsically motivated? Isn't that some sort of internal sense of accomplishment? I mean, how and why should we even bother doing that?
I guess I'm not real sure how, but I think we should try to have our students be intrinsically motivated so that they'll want to learn and actually enjoy learning.
Well, I bet our principal, Mr. Johnson, who has been a science teacher before, will have some answers for us. I think we should go try to talk to him.
Yeah, I think we could talk to our students too and see what they think. I would say they're the best source for finding out why they're not motivated.
I mean, I guess it can't really hurt getting more information. If it will help our students, it's worth it.
Maybe if I ask my students about what they're like and what they are interested in, then they'll actually start to participate in class.
Everything sounds good. How about we meet here in about 2 weeks or so with the new information from our research? Really, we should try to see what makes our students not motivated, and then we should see what we should do to make them more motivated in our classes.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yep. How you doing, Mr. Johnson?
Doing just fine.
Very good. Good. So, we're having a problem with our students in our class, and they seem not motivated or engaged. So we're wondering, what do you think makes students not motivated in school?
I think that students who are not motivated in school, they don't necessarily all fit the same mold, but I think that a lot of times they don't feel connected to either the school or the material that's being covered in class. They don't see it as relevant. They think that it's something that it doesn't matter to them. I've heard students say, I'll never need this, or when will I need this, or will I ever need this? And I think that is a sign that they're not all that motivated. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, that they're not connected. They don't feel connected to the material that's being covered.
Do you think the non-motivated students occur more frequently in the classes that they're forced to take, so non-elective classes, so like math and the sciences?
Yeah, I think that there are some required classes that students like to take. And they don't mind being in a science class if they like science. They don't mind being in a math class if they like math. However, Any entry-level required class is definitely challenging for a teacher because not all the students want to be there.
Yeah.
And as a result, they have some motivation difficulties.
So then my question is, in my freshman biology class, what am I supposed to do to make my students want to learn biology?
Well, I think that there are several things that you can do. One is, in science in particular, make sure that they see the application. If you're going to talk about mitosis and meiosis, then put it in the context of something that's meaningful to them. If you're going to talk about dissections, they may be interested in dissections, but they may not have they may not care what the function of the hole on the 15th segment of the earthworm is if they're never ever going to use that.
Yeah.
So one of the things I think you need to do is make it relevant to them. A second thing that I think you can do is personalize the message. Sometimes even though you're making it relevant to the class, they don't see the relevancy to themselves because we live in a day and a time where it's kind of all about me. And so even though you talk about the impact on the environment, the impact on the community, they may not really care. So what you have to do is present the information in such a way or provide activities that direct what you're trying to accomplish to them personally. You can do that by making things visual, making things discrepant. You put in some wow gee whiz. Oh, I didn't expect this to happen. And that gets their attention by sparking curiosity, especially in science. Those are some ways that you can motivate students that are typically not motivated. The other thing is just provide positive reinforcement to students when they behave the way you want them to, or they do demonstrate an interest. So those are some suggestions.
Oh, from your experience as being a principal and an experienced teacher, what have you seen other teachers doing, or some effective strategies to really help those kids out?
I think the most effective strategies that I see kind of take a lot of work and kind of take a lot of planning. But project-based learning or projects that students can work on over a period of time, sometimes a couple days, sometimes a couple periods, sometimes a couple weeks. They like to engage with other students. They don't necessarily like to work in groups or be graded in groups, but they do kind of like to work in groups. And so if you have specific tasks for them to follow, that usually works out pretty well. But to keep them motivated, the most important thing is to make it relevant. Provide them with opportunities to take control of their own learning. So set the expectations early. Another thing that I've seen is increase the student activity time and reduce the teacher presentation time. And one way to do that is to provide, teach the lesson backward, to make it an inquiry-based thing. Show them the end result of what you want to see at the end of the lesson, and then provide them with the minimal amount to get there, and then let them figure out how to accomplish that particular product or process or task. And I think that that helps students become more motivated and engaged and interested in school and their schoolwork.
What would be some ineffective strategies you've seen others teach?
Some ineffective teaching strategies, I think, would be so much, and I haven't really mentioned this, but a lot of routine, where it's the same thing every day, where you come in and you go over your homework, and then you present something new and you get time to work on it, and then you leave. Or another thing that, and that's good teaching strategy, it's just a matter of if that's what you do all the time every day, it makes it less motivating for students. Another thing, especially if I'm not good at it, another thing that I think is too much teacher talk or too much teacher presentation, and not enough active student engagement. If your class is set up for passive learning and they just have to listen and regurgitate, I think that I would discourage you from using that all the time. There are appropriate times for that kind of lesson, but once again, you just don't want to do it all the time.
Well, you can see how your students are gonna get bored with that after a while.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not gonna be as interesting.
And we all like variety to
Right.
some extent in our life, and students like to see that as well. And if you've been to your class or your class, and you've been taught in the same modality or the same format, and then you go to 3 other classes during the day and it's the same thing, school gets to be
Yeah.
boring.
Like PowerPoint after PowerPoint after
Exactly, yes. So if you have a PowerPoint that's not engaging, if you're just being presented information, that's gonna get,
Mhm.
it gets old.
Yeah, I think a big thing too is that as teachers, we need to be creative with our ways of showing the
yeah.
material to our students, like a different amount of text and different amount of like visual, making a visual, worksheets, projects,
Hands-on.
yeah,
Yes.
hands-on stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how doing the same thing day after day, you're not gonna be motivated or not knowing why you need to learn something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I think that's the biggest reason why students are not motivated.
Yeah.
Another thing is, if you use that same routine every day, and the student's not being successful in that routine, because a lot of times, students learn in a way that's different from the way the teacher teaches. And so if you teach the same format every day, and that doesn't accommodate my learning style, then I feel like I'm bad at science, or I'm bad at
Yeah.
math, or I'm bad at English. And once I tell myself that I'm bad at that and I can't do well at it,
Mhm.
then I won't do well, because I've
Yeah.
already convinced myself that I'm not going to be able to do it.